Hello and welcome. This is the Tiffany's Fitness Podcast, a podcast where I talk to coaches, athletes, and strength enthusiasts about strength, coaching, life, balance, and more. My name is Tiffany, and today's guest is the wonderful Isah. Isah is a yoga instructor and personal trainer, and you can find her on Instagram at Isahmaazing, which is honestly the best username ever. I adore her, and we really got to talk about her transition from strength sports into yoga and how yoga can better your life and all sorts of really wonderful things. So enjoy the episode, and I'll check back in with you at the end. Like the first VidCons, like for real. I was like what? I must have been like 19 or something. Like I went by myself, like took a train and a bus and a train to Anaheim by myself, stayed in a hotel, like so I could enjoy enjoy VidCon. I went to concerts and
I'm so jealous. So
yeah,
jealous.
I went to like it was like maybe it was the second and third year or first and third year. I don't remember exactly, but it was early. It was when Hank Green was still the person who owned VidCon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. 30-year-old me is so jealous right now. So
It was fun. I made like lots of friends. I don't really talk to them anymore, but like back in your 20s, hanging
yeah.
out, and I got to see Watsky. I don't know if Watsky was the person in your radar back in the
Oh my
day.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are like old YouTube names. Like,
hmm
seriously.
I
Girl,
saw
my
I saw Christina Grimmie there too. She was on The Voice, like before she was on The Voice. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I have
Yeah,
like
like
pictures.
my snooze
hmm
song is DFTBA.
Oh, perfect. That's a great one. That's actually a really good way to start the day.
Like
Like,
if
that's
I
so
hit the
funny.
snooze, it is like one of the only automations I have on my phone. If I hit the snooze button, DFTBA is gonna play. So like, okay, you may snooze, but you're not gonna go back to sleep.
And you're not going to forget to be awesome. Uh,
Exactly.
that's so funny. Yeah, every time I mention like VidCon's like a thing now, but like when I went, it was not a big
Right.
thing. It was like
Exactly.
there was like, not that many, there's still like a fair amount of people there, but it was not like what the event currently is.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah. And but I told all my friends I was going because I like saved up to like go and do this all by myself, and I couldn't get anybody to go with me. I went by and I was just like, I'm just gonna go and do this thing, and it was great. I had a good
Ah,
time.
we're such nerds,
Oh, huge
and I love it.
nerds,
Well,
huge
so
nerds.
funny because I couldn't go to VidCon. I actually went to a thing called Camp Nerd Fitness. I mean, since this is a fitness podcast.
Yeah, perfect. Let's transition.
you know, but I did. I used to go, and that was like the only time. And even there, a lot of people still didn't know who the Vlogbrothers were. And I'm like, seriously? Like, but we're
Yeah.
at a place called Nerd Fitness. Like, and y'all don't know about Nerdfighteria? Are you what? And then
Yeah.
that's when I realized, oh no, there is actually a difference between nerds and geeks. And these were more geeks than nerds.
Oh, it's not as fun.
Yeah. So they
Not as
had their niche, and that was that. Versus I was like, no, no, no. I like all the
I
oddities.
mean, then you'll really kind of like get the point of my podcast is to like talked with people who are like unironically excited about fitness and like different aspects of strength. Like that's really the point. I don't quite use that verbiage when explaining it to people because they don't get the unironically excited part of it. But that is what I want out of this. Is I want to get to talk to people who are also just excited to talk about strength. Um, and like any aspect of it because there's so many different ways, and I feel like there's all these like podcasts are like, let's talk about barbells, let's talk about this very specific thing, let's talk about this, and it's like there's so many different ways we can do strength training. I have like four different types of strength training right behind me.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's all great. It's just
yeah,
like getting to take the time to find the strength training that works, or the training that works for you in your life and your body, and hopefully as this podcast grows, it will help people to like be like, oh, I've never heard of that. I'm gonna go try that,
right.
or let me look into that and see if that's the thing that like gets me excited to do a training session.
Yeah, because my tagline is find your fitness.
Mm-hmm.
So hold on, let's see if I don't know with these cameras. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see it without seeing my ugly background. But on the back of my shirt, it says, so the front says it's amazing. No, the
I'm
front
fitness.
says it says I'm fitness, which does stand for it's amazing fitness. But again, the play on the word is I'm fitness. So if you're wearing the shirt, whatever your fitness is what it is.
Hmm.
And then also on the back of my shirt, it has my tagline, which says find your fitness. Because when I first, I mean, besides the fact I've been in the fitness game for a very long time, uh, but when I start trying to get into fitness as a sport, same. I started finding the sports were very niche, almost cultish. And for me, that didn't work because I have so many interests. I just love fitness. So like I've done Taekwondo
Hmm.
back when that was the
I
thing. I
remember
used to do
Tybo.
Taekwondo. Girl, I used to actually go to classes.
Oh, we had the videos.
Yeah, no, no, no. I used to when they started bringing Taekwondo to gyms, I was going in person to Taibo classes.
That's amazing.
So I've done Taibo, I've done um what was the dance one?
Zumba.
Zumba.
I've done
Yeah,
Zumba too.
I've done my sister was a Zumba instructor. I've done TRX. I'm TRX certified. I did CrossFit. Oh, girl, even the
You Kettle Sport too. That's how I know
right,
you.
right. But then we don't that's
That's
closer to the
done.
end of the story.
That's done.
That's
That's
close.
done.
But that what was the guy and he had the total body thing and he's like Chuck Norris.
Oh,
Chuck Norris.
Chuck
So
Norris.
yeah, so like his total body gym thing. I used to have one at my office. Like I've done all the things, and then I did CrossFit, then I did powerlifting, then I did bodybuilding, then where I met you, I did kettlebell sport. Now I'm doing yoga. And so it's like I've done the things,
Yeah.
and there's no one way. Oh, girl, I've done pole dancing. Girl, I do not have the core strength or the body confidence for pole dancing, but
They're
it is a
impressive.
it's a great workout.
There was a
Mm,
gal, she was a husband of a guy I worked out, who was a coach at the gym I worked at, actually at Core. Her
mm.
one of the coaches at Core, his wife was, maybe still is, I don't really follow them anymore. Um, Owned a pole studio in San Diego. They're so insanely fit. The core strength to like hold yourself on a pole is, it's just like a hollow body holds, but like in
Yeah,
air. So if you mess up, you're dropping to the floor.
right, right.
It's
And
terrifying.
when I did pole, I did it one time for my birthday, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
a girls' night or whatever. And this was back when I was bodybuilding
Mm-hmm.
and CrossFitting. So like my strength was insane. I was going for my at that time I was going for my 300 deadlift and my 300 back
Wow.
squat. And girl, I struggled in pole.
Yeah, it's like
I'm like,
calisthenics basically, but like
yeah,
but like prettier.
right. Like all I could do was the climb, and that was it. Like I could do the no leg climb, and then I'm
that's
out. Like
that's more
I
than
couldn't
I
do
could
nothing.
do. I saw, because I saw what's, I don't remember what her name was, but I saw her doing it because I was like following them both, and I was like, there's no way. But also like there's no way that I'd want to like be on it. Like it just would be so, I'd be so stressed the whole time. I'd be like, no, I'm gonna mess this up. I'm gonna look silly. I like, there's a lot of things I'm like pretty cool about being a beginner with, but I just don't think I was, when that was like an option, was
Right,
like,
right, right.
I don't think that I had the like confidence to fail in a way that would have been cool.
Okay. Now let's be fair. Let me be very, very clear about this. In all fairness, I would rather climb a pole in my drawers than juggle a kettlebell.
That's fair.
I am more confident, and I am not confident about, which is why I got out of bodybuilding. I don't want to prance around in my skivvies.
Mhm.
It's not my thing. But I would rather do that with a pole between my legs than juggle a kettlebell over my head
We've all got our things. So
and watch it flip. Girl, you be scaring me on TikTok. That's why I had to get off of TikTok because of you. I'm like, my stress level cannot take it because Tiff is if Tiff has a kettlebell juggling fail, she's going to post it, and I will never pick up my kettlebells again. Like
And
right now,
I have posted several
I,
fail compilations.
no ma'am, no ma'am, Pam.
But like when I do fail with a juggling, it doesn't usually follow me. It's usually me like throwing the bell
Oh,
across. Like
okay.
it's like it's less of a like hurt like dropping on myself. Like very rarely has that ever happened. Minus some like jammed fingers and things like that. It's usually me just like completely miscalculating the strength that I need to flip this belt, and it goes like way away. And then it's just me like trudging away to go get the kettlebell, going,
Oh
okay,
God. See,
throwing it across the fleet field, and I'm like, okay, that was not
and
my best.
see, I got inducted into kettlebell sport very, very early in the
Mm-hmm.
practice and jammed my finger. I
Yeah,
jammed my matter of fact, I jammed my finger 3 days before I would actually meet my coach in person, Kim. I
yeah,
jammed my finger because I first got into kettlebell sport online, which great way to do it. Great way to do it. But coming from and all it was I couldn't figure out the rack because I was coming from CrossFit and bodybuilding where our rack is out here.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I was working to get my rack in
Mm-hmm.
and I was tight, which again has led me to yoga, but I was tight, so I couldn't even do this. And so I'm like overcompensating and struggling, and I send the bell up, and when it comes down, I didn't have that
Oh, and it hit.
the catch, and the handle of the bell bammed my finger and
And
jammed
jammed
it.
it.
And because again, Kim was trying to like explain it over online of
Mm-hmm.
how, bring your arms in, but she wasn't giving me any video. She was just like talking me
Talking through
through
it.
it. And I just didn't make the
It didn't connect.
correlation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing that happens. And that happens sometimes like when you're at the end of a set, like if you're really fatigued,
Yep.
that's usually when I get the finger jams in sport. More than any other time. It's just like minute seven, minute seven when you're like questioning all of your choices, and
Oh,
then and then you come in, and then you like their timing slightly off, and then you're all of a sudden the bells handles hitting your, and you're like, oh, now I hate everything. And I
yeah.
have 2.5 minutes to go.
Right. Stuff to finish. And that was the
Okay.
thing. I finished that workout. Not like I'm gonna send it to you on Insta.
Okay.
I have the video where I bang it and I see the moment, I see it, and it's like, boop, and I kind of look down like, and I keep going, just thinking like, oh, it's a little nick. Girl, I had to go to the hospital. I actually broke a little piece in my finger. I had to be
Not.
in a splint and everything for like 3 weeks.
Oh my god.
And then,
Uh,
wait, why was I still battling? Just like,
little finger up.
yeah.
That sounds like some like army background nonsense. My husband's in the army, and he has been his foot's been hurting for weeks, and he finally just found out that he's been walking around for like a month with a fractured foot. So you continuing to go after breaking your finger sounds like some.
Dumb army shit. Some
Yep.
dumb so
I know exactly what you did, because I've been telling my husband to go to a doctor for weeks. And then he was like,
yeah.
oh yeah, it's fractured. I was like, yeah.
I had surgery on my hip. Again, why I'm in yoga now is because of dumb army mentality. And I mean, I'm out now, so I can talk shit about all of us and all our mindsets. And which is why I'm doing yoga now, because it's like we have got to change this mindset. It is
Mhm.
not good for our long-term physical and mental health. But I had surgery 1 year and I had like tumors. I had 2 tumors and they couldn't figure it out. And everybody kept saying, oh, but you failed. It had to be some kind of impact. These things don't just happen. And we know it's not cancer, it's calcium. And I was like, I don't know, no, no, no. So, long story short, the day of surgery, they removed the tumors. One is almost the size of a tennis ball, and the other one was the size of a golf ball that they took out of my hip. The doctor comes in, I'm high on drugs. He goes, ma'am, because mind you, they don't just decide to take tumors out one day. Like this was a process. And I was like,
Yeah.
I have no idea where, like, I was a medical marvel. The doctor comes in and goes, ma'am, How does one have not one, but two hip stress fractures for years to the point where it heals itself and they don't know? And all I go is, sir, I'm a soldier.
Yeah,
And then I
I
pass
know
back out.
it's
Like, I'm a soldier. Of
you
course,
just you just deal with it.
right. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've gone to the doctors and they just be like, oh, it's this. Oh, it's this. It was so much phantom pain.
Mhm.
But because the injury did actually happen downrange, there was no way I got an x-ray at the time.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing was when they said it, when the doctor said it, he was like, you have two hip stress fractures. They look like they happened probably at the same time. Ma'am, your hip could have split. You had to have fallen somewhere significantly. And then I was married at the time, and my husband goes, you fell off of a truck. He was like, you wrote me about it. But we talk
Yeah.
about that stuff very
Yeah, it just
flippantly.
happens. Yeah, it's
Yeah, and
just
he
like, oh,
was
I
like,
fell off a truck.
yeah, he was like, you wrote it in a letter that you fall for. And the crazy thing is, from that fall is how I got my TBI too. But it all was so gone from my memory because I was in the middle of a mission. But when you're deployed, you write every day and recap your day and stuff and write home about it. And I didn't know.
I
Girl, that was like, I had been walking around for over 5 years with two hip stress fractures.
I
Dumb. You want to talk about the body overcompensated over those years? Girl,
yeah.
dumb.
You just keep going and you don't think and you're like, it's fine. And then also you're like younger. So you're like, it's probably fine. And then it's not fine.
Right. Younger, I am the bionic woman. I am Wonder Woman and Kratos, and I'm really nerding out, and Encio from Assassin's Creed all in one, baby. You can't tell me nothing before I was 30.
Yeah.
You can tell me nothing. I was the invisible woman too. I was
Just go.
invisible, invincible, the $1 million man. I was all of the things. And then 40, I am a slug on a rug.
Yep.
My
Yeah.
spirit animal is now the sloth.
It's a good one though. It's a good one to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you don't realize all the things you're doing until like later. And that's why I like when I work with like younger athletes, I'm like, I know you think this is silly now, but you're gonna message me in about 7 years and be like, good call, buddy. And I'm like, I told you. I told you. I told you I knew. Do your goddamn mobility work. I swear it's gonna help you. Don't
Yes.
skip your warm-ups. Like I know when you're younger, and not that I'm like old at this point, but like I know when you're like when I was young, I skipped all that. I was just like, I'm just gonna jump into a 4-minute snatch set or something stupid. And it was and
Mm-hmm.
it was fine. But now that's a habit I had to like break as I got older. I was like, nah,
Yes.
we gotta warm our bodies up. But
Yes.
and even when you do warm up, sometimes it's just like, yeah, you're still gonna hurt yourself.
Right. Or better yet, while you are warm,
Yeah.
please cool down.
Mm.
Don't. So I kid you not. People used to think it was the funniest shit. I actually thought it was funny. It was actually stupid. So people out here listening, when I used to do CrossFit in the morning, I would do the 5 a.m. class, and I would work out, go to Starbucks, get my coffee, and they always make it too hot. Get my coffee, go back to the house, and go get back in the bed.
Oh man.
Take a 15 to 20-minute nap, then get up, shower, and go to work. And then I would drink my coffee on my car ride. That's what I did. That was my morning routine.
Straight back to bed.
I would literally, and mind you, the CrossFit gym wasn't nothing but 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
away, like, and especially at 5 in the morning. So, like, I, soon as that timer go off, all right, y'all, let's
Here we
rack
go.
these weights. I rack the weights. I'm out the door.
Yep. Bye.
Starbucks, house, bed. Stupid, stupid,
Your
stupid.
muscles just contracting. And then you're like, why am I so sore when you wake up the next day?
And you know what I thought it was? Oh, those are my gains.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're
That's
getting
that's
stronger.
I'm sore because of my gains. I'm a gains. I'm a gains. No, dummy. Your muscles are tight
Yep.
because you don't warm up and you don't cool down.
Well, let's talk about how you like transitioned from kettlebell to yoga or strength sports, I guess, not just kettlebell because you did everything. So
Yeah.
how did we do that transition?
So in the spirit of the in the spirit of the podcast, I'll keep this as truncated as possible, and then you can ask questions if you
Yeah,
need
of
more
course.
clarification. But basically, the pandemic.
Hmm.
So here's how it happened. I had started to consider yoga because I had dipped in and out of it from my pain management program.
Hmm.
And then I did the Arnold Classic. Uh, it was like 8 March 2020. And soon as I got home, obviously COVID hit, right? They shut the world down on the
Yeah,
11th of March. On my birthday, they shut down the world.
rude
Well,
as
I
hell.
was right, fucking rude. But mind you, I had just done the Arnold Classic,
Mhm.
then flew, get home, we are scrambling. So, like, there was no recovery. And then the Army was trying to figure out how to still do this Army PT test. And I got hurt. I fell on the bar, the
Mhm.
the hex bar,
Yeah.
handle up, and it hit that same hip. And mind you, I was already super tight, and I had a chiro appointment scheduled because you know how it is when you're
Mhm.
snatching. You're one-sided, you're super one-sided. So I was being very diligent about going to the chiropractor. But
Mhm.
when the pandemic hit, they not only did they cancel my appointment, but me falling exacerbated things.
Mhm.
But unless you were life, limb, or eyesight, no doctor would see you
Yeah.
in the month of March. No
Oh
doctor
yeah.
would see you. April, no doctor would see you. May, they started opening up, but now you're super backed
Mhm.
up. So I was just in pain. I was in so much pain that I knew I couldn't kettle. Like that's how bad, like I was really effed up, right?
Yeah.
And so then fast forward, I did a permanent change of station
Yeah.
and went to El Paso, moved back here to El Paso. Well, now I'm in a new medical system. I want to go see the chiropractor. We are still in the pandemic. This is all very important. We're still in the pandemic because it's just July of 2020, but I'm in a new doctor. And so what do? They're like, oh, well, we can't send you to a chiropractor. You're new in our system. We need to figure out why you have to go to a chiropractor.
Oh.
And so I have to now start the medical process. Even though I know what I need, I have to start the medical process from the very beginning. During the pandemic, when you hardly have any doctors, you have a super backed up schedule, and you have what seems to someone like not a serious injury.
Mhm.
So I had nothing. I had nothing. I was struggling. And now I'm starting to struggle mentally too. But by the time I moved here, I was already familiar with yoga.
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, let me start stretching. I even met with a chiropractor online from that I had met off of Instagram, and she gave me some stuff to do. And then that's kind of how I just kind of eased into stretching. And then during the pandemic, because I was close to getting out the military and I already knew that I was going to be a yoga teacher, I just wasn't a practicing yogi. And so
Mhm.
then during the pandemic, I got certified to be a yoga teacher and started really diving really into what yoga is and isn't and what it's all about. And I was like, okay, this works. And I started kind of rehabbing myself until I could get to a doctor because also moving, I also lost my therapist, clearly, and was going to have to start over
It's
with a
so annoying to
therapist.
move and try to re-navigate the medical system, especially through
Yes.
freaking military. I am on
Yes.
the phone right now, literally hours, trying to get a doctor's appointment through TRICARE, and it is
Yes.
impossible.
Yes. And
It's so
so that's
frustrating.
That's how yoga came. And I was injured for so long that I started kettlebell coaching again. And I did do like two different kettlebell comps before
I judged one of your events.
that's right. And so I kind of start getting back into it, but then I also had to put them down again because I was starting to transition out of the military. And I got out of kettle and started focusing on strength. I mean, start focusing more on yoga. And I do personal train
Mhm.
and I teach other people strength training, but a lot of it too is I just have so many injuries that I'm dealing with, and now I have arthritis everywhere, and I'm still constantly going to doctors that sometimes I'll say like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym, and then magically my body is like, and you're not. And I'll get a weird pain. So like right now I'm dealing with neuropathy. So it's
Girl.
like, oh, those are really good paperweights.
Yeah.
Like, wow, those kettlebells look
They're
really
really
pretty,
expensive paperweight.
really expensive paperweights. I've let my trainer, my old strength coach, borrow my bells so that they can have some purpose in life.
And their little kettlebell life.
Right. Like I'm about to put one outside to stop a fence from moving back and forth. It's gonna be a really colorful rock.
Yeah, give it some purpose.
Right. 'Cause- But yeah, and I love yoga. I love teaching it because people are so, like everything in fitness, people are so misinformed and totally don't see the value. But I find ways to show it. I can always illustrate the value through my life and then through other people that have practiced. And for like my soldiers and veterans, it was so stigmatized in our community, just that kind of health
Mhm.
that it's like my mission. It's my mission now to get more and more, not just veterans, especially veterans, because navigating the medical system as a soldier is difficult, but all the resources go to soldiers. It's that much harder now as a veteran to navigate the medical system. So it's like I'm not sitting here proclaiming that yoga is the end all be all. No sport is, no fitness aspect is. However, I think it is one of the better backstops
Yeah.
when you cannot seek medical attention.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for your mental health, it is a great not backstop, but a backfill
Hmm.
for not getting
It's a
into the
great
doctor.
foundation
Mhm.
so you can have like something to fall back onto when
Yeah.
everything else doesn't work. And also like just like having, like you said, it's mental. It's having that practice of like a thing you can do or that
Hmm.
by the end of it you're gonna feel better. Like whether or not
Hmm.
you felt like it at the beginning,
Right.
having something where you go, okay, if I go spend 30, 40, 60 minutes doing this thing, at the end of that time, my body and my brain are going to be a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
And that is so valuable.
And if you're not an instructor, it's very inexpensive. If you're not the teacher, if you don't go through teacher training, it's very way less expensive than a CrossFit membership, a weightlift. Like it's the coaching or the like a yoga class, averages anywhere between $15 and $30, depending on where you are in the world,
It's
and
a
you
little
can still,
pricier here. I'm in
right,
Tacoma.
yeah. Well, you're in
Washington.
Tacoma.
Yeah, my husband. Yeah, we're in Tacoma. Well, I'm not actually. I'm on the base, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. We got here in January.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we were in
Yeah, and
Colorado.
that's where I thought you were, Colorado.
Yeah, I was in Colorado, and now we're here.
Oh, Tacoma
We had
or
a
Washington.
PCS.
Yeah, there you go. Permanent change of
Just
station.
pop those military terms in there and confuse all the regular folks.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. We were at Carson, and we finally got to leave Carson, and now we're at Lewis,
Okay.
which is nice. I love it.
Nice.
It's pretty
Nice.
here, but it's very expensive.
Yeah. And that's why I say,
Everything
like, depending on
everything is
where you
expensive.
are, Yeah. Well, and then you can still get decent YouTube
Yeah,
videos
that's what I
with
was
yoga.
using a lot. When I first started doing any sort of fitness, anything, YouTube yoga was one of the things that I did. And pop sugar fitness videos. But yeah, like way back. It's been a minute now. It's been like 10
R-
years. But that was like the big thing. And that's how I got a kettlebell in the first place.
Really?
I was finding body weight pop sugar videos and I kind of had done them all. So I was like, what home gym equipment should I get? And kettlebell popped up and I was like, cool, I get a kettlebell. And here we are.
Right.
Uh, 10 years later,
Right.
with my kettlebells and entire kettlebell strength based business.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love I love teaching yoga, and I always tell people like, yeah, YouTube will, there's a very common person that comes up when I ask people like, have you ever done yoga? And they're like, oh yeah, I did on YouTube. And then they all say that they did this person's YouTube. Girl, if I had done her YouTube, I would never done yoga. That shit's too hard. That shit's too hard for me. For
Who is
someone
it?
who we don't promote her. I'll text you later.
I want to know who it is.
Yeah, I'll text you later, but no free promo. But no, so what I do like about how I teach yoga is one, I prefer, even I was like this as a personal trainer too. I don't care for group classes and I teach group yoga, but my classes are very small and I like them that way. I
Mm-hmm.
actually prefer teaching online privates
Mm-hmm.
because, especially for my community, which are athletes, former athletes, and like soldiers and veterans, we have so many injuries that a YouTube video is not going to help you with.
No, because it doesn't know what you're working with and how to make the
Right.
modifications that you need.
And that's the thing. And you have some forms of yoga that are not modification friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Like like really strict. I'll use like Ashtanga for instance. Like Ashtanga, they do not promote doing modifications. If you go old school with it, Ashtanga is like you will do this exactly like this until you can do it. Even if you can't do it, you're gonna still keep trying it until you can do it because the only way to do it is to do it. And it's like, oh.
It's not great. It's not a great mentality.
Right? It's like I'm trying to get away from that mentality.
Yeah. Like I did that. I get it. But not for me anymore.
Right? Like been there, done that, definitely got the t-shirt, burn the t-shirt, cut the t-shirt, turned it into a headband. I'm not doing that no more. Yeah, but yeah, I like being able to modify and sometimes we don't do like one of my clients, she has back issues and her back will go out. And so she's thinking like, oh my God, I can't do yoga. I'm like, there's way more to yoga than just the pretty poses. And so like yesterday, all we did was relaxation pose and she did legs up the wall and then I did a guided meditation. That's still like that's still under the umbrella of her yoga programming. It's like I'm gonna be able to give you what you need at the time, and it's like, yeah, so doing sun salutations is definitely me forcing you to push through sun salutation when you can't touch your knees
It's not going to benefit you.
at all. I'm reinforcing the bad habit of push through.
Yeah.
And it's like versus I want you to listen to your body. And what I always tell students is do what your body wants to do today. Not what
Mm-hmm.
it did last week, not what it did a month ago, not what it did in your 20s when you was an all-star athlete. Do what your body wants to do today. And if your body is telling you it doesn't want to do sun salutations, then we're not going to do sun salutations. That doesn't mean we're not going to do yoga.
Yeah.
We may talk. I may give you a journal prompt. We may just have some gratitude practice, anything. We may just do like some neck stretches because also with my personal training background, I I know the human body. I know anatomy. And so again, I kind of like mix the yoga with just personal training stuff, and it's like I can give you what your body is probably craving that you are ignoring
Mhm.
because you gotta do the thing, So,
Yeah, that's a big one to like break habits of when you have, because I do work with like a lot of people who are very competitive. And myself include, I am very competitive. I like to push myself, and it is a real practice. It is a real like effort to like be like, okay, that is not what I can do today. That is, and like I have my program and I stick to my program, and like I think this is also like where it's really helpful to have a coach to be like that outside perspective,
mhm,
and be like, this is how you're feeling today. We will change what you're doing.
mhm,
Like we can change your thing and we can still get you closer to your goals, but we
mhm,
can change it so you're not going to hate yourself and like feel like terrible because you did something that your body wasn't prepared to do or didn't feel
right,
up for doing. um Using modifications and variations on lifts and changing them if you need to is not like a failure. It's, I think, like such a good success. Like when I have clients go, hey, this doesn't feel right, can we change it, or like, is that okay? And I'm, yes, yes, that's so good. Yes, thank you for listening, thank you for like telling me that this does not feel good, because if I don't know, I don't know. Like I can't make adjustments. I can't know that that's a thing that's not benefiting you. So hell yeah, let's change it. Like if
right,
that doesn't feel good, then let's not do it. And like learning what the difference is between like a muscle burn versus like what actual pain is, which is a thing that people don't often know coming from
right,
like highly competitive backgrounds. It's like, oh, this hurts, but like, oh, I can push through it. Sometimes you don't push through.
no,
Sometimes you have to go, that is not right. And you have to
right,
take a second. And sometimes it is like, is that, no, that's a muscle burn. But like, it does take a second sometimes to like let your brain catch up to what your body is doing and go, oh, wait, no, I need to stop. We take a step back, and now we can readjust and we can go back in and do something else and make sure
right,
that your body is going to be able to continue, because the whole point of strength training is like is to make sure that your life is better. Like it's to
mhm,
make your, it's not, and like I said, like I'm very competitive. I compete in events and I go to competitions. I'm pushing myself to break records. Uh and that's great. And that is awesome. And I'm gonna continue to do that. But also the reason I do strength training is so my life is better. So I can move the way I want to move through life and like be able to like go on hikes and walk my
right,
dog, and like if I'm feeling like crap after every training session, what's the point?
right. Well, and even when we think about it, even your car cannot go full throttle all the time. And I wish more people, more experienced coaches, more mentors would have reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm.
That your car cannot go full throttle all the time. The sun does not stay up all the time unless you're in that part of no, because it doesn't. Even that part of the world where it's
Even in
light for
Alaska,
right for light for 23 hours, there's still an hour where it's like
I take a break.
it dialed it back a little bit. You know what I mean? And I didn't even come to that kind of mindset until I started doing yoga to really start to look at the different cues of like, yeah, your body was been telling you to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
but you were listening to your brain and not listening to your body. And because that was the other thing for me in strength sports. Strength sports always tended to turn competitive, and I'm not a competitive person.
Mm.
So that was kind of what I didn't like about strength sports. I wanted to just do the things to do the things
Yeah,
because I love the things. And I do love how my body feels. I love how my body changes and things like that. With yoga, I mean, there are yoga competitions in the other countries, some other countries, but
it's not generally competitive.
right, that is not the thing. Like
No,
where your body looks like a pretzel, like
no, I'm good.
right.
My yoga skills extend to like holding a downward dog in a pigeon pose,
Yeah,
and
there
that's
you
all
go.
I. I'm like, yep. Uh, every now and then I'll find a class and I'll like do one, but no, that's definitely not the competitive.
No, no.
I'm sure there are people in the class who are feeling competitive, but that's never been my vibe going into
Right.
those. Some of those classes are intense. I used to work at a studio that did like yoga classes and stuff,
Yeah.
and there's some hard classes.
Yeah, like power yoga. And again, Ashtanga yoga is
Mm-hmm.
very like, ooh, that's why I like that the studios that I teach at, they don't have mirrors.
Mm.
I actually turned down a position because it was a dance studio. And so of course there were mirrors. And I was like, I'm not comfortable teaching here because
Yeah.
I don't want people looking at I don't want people looking at other people trying to mimic. Even as a teacher, I do what you call off the mat teaching. So
Mm-hmm.
I come off the mat a lot.
Yeah.
In a physical class, excuse me, in an in-person class, I walk around.
Mm-hmm.
And even online, a lot of times I teach like this
Yeah.
online and you just do what my voice tells you to do. And then like unless I'm introducing something to you, I want to
Yes, you
give you
do.
a visual representation, but I don't want you mimicking me.
Yeah.
I literally want you to do what you feel in your body. So again, if you have a mirror in front of you,
You're gonna
you
watch
may,
everyone.
right, or you may even be trying to watch yourself and trying to get like the perfect flat back. And it's like, okay, but girl, your hips is tight. You're not
Yeah.
going, your back ain't gonna go parallel in triangle pose because your hips and your hamstrings are tight. So if your back is doing this, okay, feel what your body wants to do. Don't force it. I always say too, and you can definitely take this too, you want the oohs, not the ouch.
Mm.
That's what I
Yeah.
want. I want you to feel a ooh, not a ouch. So we're not going over the threshold. We're walking up to it.
Yeah.
We're gonna walk up to it. We're gonna breathe
That's
through it and then pull back out.
push
If
back.
if you're like you're holding the pose so much that your shoulders are starting to, or I always say your shoulders and your ears are close friends. I don't want them to be best friends. I need them to be distant cousins. So if you're even doing like overhead and your ears are like this,
Mm-hmm.
or you're like this, that baby, that's not helpful. Distant cousins,
Yes.
distant cousins, not close best friends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good. Yeah, because that's the thing that we all. I think like as you were a personal trainer, like that's this position. It's where people keep bringing them like put your shoulders down. Shoulders are on your back, not
Right.
down. Not
Here, please.
please. This doesn't feel good.
Right.
This doesn't feel like stable either. So
But you be thinking, you be like, relax your, I be like, I tell them, relax your shoulders. Relax your shoulders. They are relaxed. Girl, no, they are not.
down. If
And
you're
so then that's
shrugging, what's the bottom of your shrug?
that's all. And so that's what you do. You tell them like, okay, I want you to really tighten your shoulders, really make your shoulders and your ears be best friends, best friends, best friends, best friends, best friends, best friends. Okay, now they hate each other. And then all of a sudden,
Oh,
this
wait.
has become this. And it's like, there you go. Does that feel different? I'm like, now take a minute, feel how they, I'm like, oh yeah, my neck is really it,
It's
oh.
weird. Who would have thought? Not me. Not I.
not, not I, the personal trainer slash yogi. No, I don't.
No, not my decades. My years and years of experience.
Right now.
Yeah,
Don't you love it when people say, how did you know?
I've done this before, just a couple
You
of
know,
times.
it's not my first rodeo.
Yeah, yeah. It's like this is like this is when you first come into like strength training, and I'm sure with yoga as well. Like there's gonna be like four things that they're always doing, and and then it's gonna vary like slightly, but like there's like four or five things that basically everyone's doing, and you go, yeah, we fix this, this, and this, super easy.
Mhm.
And they're like, wow, and you're like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
there you go.
It's the overhead position. It's
Yeah,
the shoulders up too high. But
yeah,
it's like, oh, my back hurts. It's like, oh, are you bracing? Do you know what a hip hinge is? No. Okay, perfect. Let me fix that for you. And it's like immediate changes that you can just and they're like,
yeah,
wow. Yeah.
yep.
That's
I
what
love that
that's
you.
That's what they
Go
do.
ahead. Yeah. I love that you call it hip hinge. So in yoga, girl, I could probably never go to India. They would be like, get her out of here. Because you have yogis, God bless them, but you have yogis that will do, I even have a yogi voice, but they'll do their yoga voice.
It's like ASMR.
Yeah, and then now granted, I don't want to teach yoga at this level unless I'm teaching power yoga. I don't want to teach it here,
No.
but I don't want to teach it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I do have a yogi voice, but I don't have a yoga. I don't have like a yoga
Vocabulary. Yeah.
mentality. Yeah, and vocabulary. Like for my own purposes, I'm starting to learn some of the Sanskrit words and some of the technical names of them. But when you just said hip hinge, the personal trainer in me, when we go into like triangle pose, I always want to say hinge at the hips,
Hmm.
but a lot of people just don't know what that is because they don't have the mind body connection. So I say booty toot.
I
Some yoga guru is rolling in his grave
roll.
right now that I said booty toot. But that's why I said, like, push your butt back. Give me the booty toot. Like, look, or I call it the look back at it.
Hmm.
Like, look, I'm like, because think about it. When you look back at it, that's that. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows, like, look back at it. Like, what are you doing? You're hinging.
That's it.
You're hinging at the hips. I'm like, push your hips back, booty too. Give me the look back at it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
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 yeah. And I think that's also like a thing too, is just like finding when you're like coaching someone is like finding where that language like meets with their experience. Cause
yeah,
like the words I use, like insertion and deflection, like those mean nothing to the average person. So it's like, okay, well, how can I explain this in a way that's going to connect with their knowledge and like make that connection? I think like when I and then like everyone has their own names for everything too. So it's like whenever you first have a new person that you're working with, you're like, it's like a lot of just like vocabulary lessons. Like this is all of the things that you are gonna have to learn. Cause I'm gonna refer to sport as GS. And they're like, what's GS? Gear voice sport because of this. Like learning all of these vocabulary words. So then it's much easier to explain things.
yeah, yeah,
because there's always like these very specific things that mean something entirely different or literally nothing in
right.
the real world.
And it's funny because when I teach all my clients that I teach online, because it's just us and they get to know me, they know my personality, they they can always tell if I've been teaching bigger classes. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'll actually say something like pigeon pose. Oh my gosh, this one girl, she had been with me for 3 months. And I put her in, I was like, I couldn't demo because I was having the neuropathy issue flare up. And I go, all right, now from down dog, I want you to lift your leg, go into 3-leg dog. I was like, no, lift your leg, high, 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 push your heel up. Doesn't matter yet. Push
Yeah.
your heel up, and I go, and then transition to pigeon pose. And she was like, what's pigeon pose? And I was like, wait, you've done it. You've done. And I remember, like, I don't use the words.
No.
So she doesn't know. I was like, my bad, my bad. She was like, yeah, you just came back from the Dominican Republic. It's fine.
Yeah.
Because I do have like when I'm teaching, like, I know how to have my representative when I have a big, huge class and they don't know me from
Yeah.
that. But when it's this, you getting, I'm just going to walk you through it and then get into the position. Like I'm going to really talk you through the position anyway. And so I may not use terms. But then when I know that like they're not going to be with me for a while or they may go to a yoga class, I'll let them know like, hey, if they say sun salutation, I'm
This
like, that
is
thing that we do, that's actually called sun salutation. But I never be like, hey, and lift an extended mountain pose and then exhale and we're going into our sun salutation A or our namaskar. No, I'll never say that shit. Just do the thing because I care about you doing the thing. I don't care about what any of the words are.
yeah, that's
But
most
if you're
important.
going to class and you may find one of those instructors, I don't want you looking confused.
you've been doing yoga. You know what you're doing now. You just don't know the words. It's
Right.
got, it's got to explain that part of things to you.
I felt it, and I blew an interview because of that. That's why I
Oh
was like,
no.
shoot, as an instructor, I do need to know the words
Yeah.
because she was calling them out to me, and she wanted me to demo, and she was calling them out to me. And one of the poses she called out, I didn't, I didn't know it, but I didn't know it by its name.
Yeah.
And so then after the interview, I looked it up, and I was like, oh,
Oh, it's that
well,
one.
one, right, and one, we don't call it that anyway. So, it was like, because, you can have multiple words for the same pose.
Hmm.
Or, well, one person considers lotus pose, the other person calls it bound angle.
Hmm. Oh
But it's
yeah.
the same pose, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I mean, that's how many different versions of there is like for different words. Like this, a kick through is what I usually call a thing where you're like on like a bear crawl position, you kick your leg through. But some people call them a sit out, and some of them people call it like a kneeling.
Elsit. I call it
Yeah,
Elsit. Yeah.
there's so many different. So it's like you've probably done these movements before. You just don't know what I call them.
Right. Right.
So let's make that connection real quick. So that way, when we are doing training sessions, you don't have to like be like, no, that one,
Right.
because
And And then for us too, a lot of people get intimidated when they hear all the words, when they hear, because it sounds like a foreign language. And I teach people besides the fact I have a brain injury, I teach yoga for brain injury. And the fewer words, the better. So again, even for me, sometimes I can't remember left and right, let alone namaskara, A versus B. Like,
when you teach those big classes too, you have to do everything mirrored to people, and
yeah,
that was always so tricky for me. I was always like, do it once, okay, now I'm gonna stand up, I'm gonna do the walk around so I can not have to, because
so
I was
here you
always doing
go.
it backwards.
Here's the trick for all you trainers and soldiers and stuff. Because when you're a squad leader and stuff, you have to face the troops and still get them to move. Here's the trick, you guys. Y'all know the polo company, Ralph Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that they have Ralph R and Lauren written on their shoulders.
Oh,
So if
perfect.
you read Ralph, so if I see R here, then that's your right. I'm going to just say right, even though
Yeah.
it's technically my left. So that's what you do. Just imagine that the person has RL, like the Ralph Lauren monogram shirts, written on their shoulders.
Well, that's real handy.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're solving problems for trainers everywhere. That's a good one. As always,
Yep.
I was always like, oh no, because that was the first, like, it was, I only ever really did that at one studio, and it was did yoga, did bar, and then did kettle. It was quite the studio. I did all the different things, but since it was like so yoga and like bar and like that sort of style class base, I had to do everything in mirror when I was teaching the classes, and I
Yep.
was always like, I don't,
Yep.
because when I taught at the other class, it was like a garage. Like at core, it was a
Yeah.
garage. So I was just like, do it. And they're like, okay, let's do it. I didn't have to like do the class as much as
Yeah.
you do when you teach in a class like that in a studio where you just sort of uh just you have to go along with the whole class versus like, here's the board. Now I will coach you.
Right.
Which is more fun for me. I like those classes a lot more. But now I really don't teach classes at all like that. So
So are you mainly privates now?
that's all I do at this point.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I'm doing like some workshops coming up. So like that sort of thing, but that's gonna be more of me like demonstrating breaking things down versus like coaching a large group. Um, but like since COVID, like I haven't taught really any group classes with the exception of a couple of group classes at the beginning of COVID when the gym was like, let's do
Hmm.
online classes. And then I did one in last September. I went to an event called Belfast and I got to teach a class there.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and that was a lot of fun. But I did that and I taught it's like 30 something people kettlebell sport. which was a lot of fun. But it was like, oh, I haven't done this in a really long time. This is a very different way of coaching than me like talking to the person that I've been like communicating with for however long, and who knows
Yeah,
the things that I say. It's like, oh, I have to like really like adjust how I address a group of people versus
right.
you know me, we'll just do it. Like I don't have you know what the warm up is. Do your damn warm up. Let's go.
Right. Instead of having to get your professional representative to be like,
Okay, now we're gonna do this. We're gonna really keep our thumb pointed back towards the wall. We're gonna reach
right? Like,
to different. Luckily, it was like a kettlebell like convention, so like people weren't like I didn't have to do like yoga voice or like that, like you know that class because like even when you're like teaching like a group class, like as a fitness instructor, not as a yoga, there's still a voice. It's like a
right,
customer service voice.
right,
Yeah,
right,
so I didn't have to be like so deep into that.
right,
Because it's not my thing.
right. It's
Uh,
interesting because my yoga voice, only thing that throws people, especially who know me, because like my mom, she does yoga with me and stuff. Again, mine isn't a fake voice. Mine isn't a fake voice.
yeah,
Mine is really just the calm me.
yeah, it's the calm
It's
voice.
just people a lot of times don't, especially like on Instagram, people don't see the calm me. They see the good morning. But in my house by myself, I'm actually the calm me,
I'm
where
like a
it's just
lower
like,
energy. Yeah, I'm
right,
just.
it's just like I'm on a lot of drugs. So
We are coming up on the end of things. How can people work with you? Find you on the internet? How can where can we work with you? Find you all things.
so all the things is it's amazing because it's
I,
too
by the way, love your username. Since like I've met you, it's been like one of my favorite things. It's so good. It's just so catchy. I love it.
someone gave it to, I'm not even friends with that person anymore, like on socials. But I told him too when he gave me the name, I was like, mark my word, I'm gonna make this a thing. I said, you don't get no percentages though, okay?
No.
I was like, I said maybe a free class here and there, but oh, because I did insanity. I used to be an insanity instructor. I tell you, I did all the things, and I my name. So my name is Mart Issa.
Mhm.
And for a lot of people, I don't know why it gets them tongue tied. And so I started going by Issa because I just hated to. I would rather go by Issa than to hear you butcher Mar Issa because I
Mhm.
really like the way my name sounds. So living in a Spanish speaking city, they kept wanting to call me Isa. And I didn't speak Spanish at the time, so I didn't know why.
No,
And
yeah.
I'd be like, it's Issa. Issa, like it's something, or I'm like it's a good day outside, or something like that. I would say it's like that. And it's one guy like he goes, like it's amazing. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, like it's and he had the whole spirit fingers thing. And that became I was like, I like it. And that's when I started my Facebook. I switched my Instagram over. This was right when branding was becoming a thing too.
Mhm.
So I was like, it's amazing. And that's why it's two A's, because I want them.
Uh, it's great. I
Yeah.
love it. It's really catchy. I like always
Yeah.
remember your handle.
Yeah.
So very good branding.
Yeah. So Instagram, it's amazing, or it's amazing fitness. Uh Facebook page, it's amazing. If you see that it's a Kush girl, don't friend her. I heard she's kind of a weirdo. You want the It's Amazing page with two A's.
Yes.
And I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook. I mainly live on Instagram. I have a TikTok by the same name. I also have a Threads,
Yeah.
same name. So
Well, I'll be linked. I'll make sure everyone can find you easily.
yeah. I mean, and then I also have a website that's It's Amazing also.
Perfect.
But again, I'm if you really want to know me and even know if you want to work with me, find me on Instagram. That's where
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Thanks so much to Isah for coming on. I so appreciate her taking time to come and have a conversation with me. I hope you all get a lot out of it. Make sure you're following her on all of the things. She is at Isahmaazing. All of her things are linked in the show notes. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Helps more people find the podcast, makes me happy, wins all around. And I mentioned in the podcast actually that I have a workshop coming up, and that is going to be on November 2nd at 10 a.m. over Zoom, so everyone can attend. It is a kettlebell sport workshop, Kettlebell Sport 101, and it's going to be talking about mobility exercises and the swing, clean, snatch, jerk, all of the things, really get deep dive and lots of time for Q&A. So if you have any questions about the sport or any of the technique things, I can help with it. I'm really, really excited about it. Spots are filling up really fast, so fast that I actually had to expand how many people were going to be in the workshop because I just didn't anticipate that much interest. So spots have been expanded. Reserve your spot today. I really am excited about it. And if you haven't gotten it, get the Kettlebell Sport 101 guide, which is kind of the companion piece to it. And that talks about the lifts and the lingo and how you can compete. So both of these things are free and will be both linked in the show notes. And I think that's all I have for now. I will be back really soon with more guests. Can't wait. Have a wonderful day. Bye.